nice and clear?
I can hear you nice and clear, but I hear...
The automotive industry is at the dawn of a new era, with traditional ideas about how we drive, own, and service our cars changing. The industry has been forced to start evolving and becoming more digital. However, this isn't the only challenge it's facing. Welcome to this episode of the Auto Tech Show. Hello and welcome everyone to a brand new episode of the Auto Tech Show. Of course, this is our podcast that opens the hood of automotive innovation. From the latest technologies to the best practices around the industry, this is your one-stop shop for everything automotive. Now on this episode, we are talking all about the driving force behind the digital transformation of the automotive aftermarket industry. From what has changed to the impact of new generations and new technologies, we have a lot to cover in this episode, so be sure to hang around for the full interview. And our guest for today, I'm very excited to introduce you to the Chief Digital Officer at Intercars SA, Momchil Kovachev. Momchil and his team have been responsible for delivering the largest B2B e-commerce platform in the independent automotive aftermarket for Central and Eastern Europe. Something we will definitely touch on as we explore this topic of digital transformation today. Momchil, again, thank you for being with me today and giving us a few minutes of your time. I know you're a busy man, but I'm really looking forward to this discussion, to hear your expertise and what you and your team have done. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invitation, Mark. It is my pleasure to share the time with you and answer some of the questions you're having.
I've got a few, so let's dive straight in. Now, looking back over your extensive career in the automotive industry, how have you seen the general attitude towards innovation change over the year? Are people more willing to do it now than in the past? How have you seen that change?
I believe the automotive industry is quite a big term. My professional career has been developing in the aftermarket part of the industry. What happens when the car is being sold? My observation is that innovation and new technologies are first adopted in the other part of the business, in the sales channel, in the product itself, the car, how it drives, how you interact with it, how you are purchasing or how you're getting a lead about it, and then servicing it, and the aftermarket part of it is lagging behind. Recent events, especially after the COVID pandemic situation, changed that, but still my general observation is that the automotive industry is lagging behind other industries, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's true, and we see this in, like, we take retail for an example. It's a big, broad industry, but the retail industry has been quick to adapt in a lot of different cases because maybe we're working on stuff, different companies have different ideas. But it's interesting that given how technologically advanced we think of automotive, that automotive aftermarket trails so much behind. Is there a certain aspect that has caused that to happen?
I don't know if I can pinpoint a given reason for that. Probably it is not the, attractive part of owning or maintaining a car. The people working in the aftermarket are mainly engineers who are more passionate about the engineering side of things, how things work, to make it working the best way possible and not break down and things like this. And the user experience of maintaining your car was left behind. And I can share the thought that if you ask me today, owners of vehicles, they really don't want to care about maintaining it and bringing it to the workshop to change the tires or to change the oil. For them, it is a hassle that they would like to avoid. And also they are comparing the services offered in our industry to other touch points in other industries. For example, how you're ordering food or how you're ordering something as a digital service. And then when they compare it to how you have to make an appointment to do your regular inspection, or how the experience of changing your tires, they're asking themselves why. And then thankfully, they're raising the bar for us by their expectations.
That's a great point, and a really nice transition to this new generation, because you're right, the new generation has grown up with a different set of expectations. Everything is on demand, everything is at the touch of their hands. but you still have to physically make an appointment at the place to go get your vehicle serviced or to take care of automotive aftermarket needs, you still have to go do the same process that was 20 years ago. Does the new generation then drive companies to change? Is that what's going to force companies to adapt?
I believe force is a too strong word, but definitely new generation, both of consumers and actors in the automotive industry are putting challenges to us. And I would like to divide it into two aspects. From one side, new generation in the workshops. Mm-hmm. We at Intel Cars are having our approach because we see that currently workshops are lacking fresh workforce, and we are trying through our initiative, Young Car Mechanic, to promote the profession of automotive mechanic. And we see that this new generation is used to interacting in a totally different way. For example, they are ordering parts by the smartphone. They are trying to communicate with the spare parts distributor over the smartphone in an asynchronous way, over a chat. Mm-hmm. They are sending us a picture of the car and they are putting few keywords. I would like to have the brake disc from brand A and the oil from brand B. And this really opened our eyes that we really need to invest in the chat solution. And when we investigated it deeper, we saw that there is a given pattern in the communication, and that we said, okay, probably modern technology, we can invest in a chatbot, and we are doing our job over there. On the other side, on the consumer side, younger generation is also putting some expectations towards the workshops and the mechanics and the service advisors working there. They are comparing the experiences that they're having from different industries. For example, booking an appointment at the doctor or booking an appointment at the beauty salon, and they're saying, hey, I have my smartphone, I would like to tell you who I am, what kind of car I have, and to be able to know when I can have it repaired by you. And we figure out that currently in our industry we are lacking a standard how the workshops can manage the availability of their working post and booking system. And even there is no standard, like for the spare parts there is a standard, but for exchanging this information there is no standard, and that's why we as an industry are lagging behind. So definitely the next generation of people are putting some questions to us in the industry. And I hope that we together are going to provide the proper answer and solutions answering their demand from both sides, the client and the professionals working inside.
I really like how you touched on you're listening to what they're saying and you're taking that as your learnings going forward. You're seeing the actions they take and then exploring those. Because that's, I guess, the first step is to really listen to what your future customers are going to say so that you can adopt your solutions accordingly.
Listening and trying to understand as hard as possible of the decision-making process of our partners is part of our DNA. We are trying to build solutions which are providing value for the whole vertical, starting from the owner or driver of the car, the entrepreneur running the small business, because normally those are some small businesses, the mechanics, then us and our parts distributors, and finally for the manufacturers of the parts who are supplying us with their products. So in order to be a good value creator in this chain, you have to understand and listen carefully and put yourself in the shoes of the other person and the other entrepreneur on the other side.
And a step I think a lot of people skip. They just jump to a solution as an immediate fix.
Digital transformation and digital tools luckily are giving us a lot of insight into that if we are smart enough to or wise enough, I would say, to forget about our knowledge and our ego of being experts and to start leveraging the digital technology, all the tools that you're being given by analytic systems, recording systems, whatever you're using, and then base your decisions for developing your product and service based on data, not on your assumptions. Yes, you can have an assumption and then please go and validate it with data. And the current era where we are living in is giving you a lot of possibilities. So I encourage my colleagues to, for a moment, forget about their assumptions and their knowledge and just listen to the data and, of course, make research, go make interviews, speak with other people.
Data is an interesting topic because we're seeing a lot of industries go to a more data-driven strategic model where they're using the data incoming to drive their future decisions, and that's great to see because I think that is the future. Like you said, is evolving this use of data. Now, a lot of the solutions that we've seen come to the market are encouraging this collection of data in the right way, so that they are collecting correct data and the right amount of it. But is there a point at which too many solutions will complicate and oversaturate the market? Is there a point that we're going to hit in a breaking point of that, or is just all the data is king no matter what?
The industry that we are operating in is very much data dependent. The product data, the relationship, how those products fits the car were key in the last years. And even today, I can say in Europe, it is quite difficult for parts distributors and mechanics to identify the right part. On the other side, I assume that in part of your question it is about the new topic, the data that the car generates itself. And this is a quite challenging topic for the whole industry in Europe, because we are speaking that in this data there is where have you been driving, from which location to which location, how exactly have you been driving, what was the position of the acceleration pedal, what was the G-force, what was the side force, and then there are the topics like insurance, maintenance. And here it's also important to notice that clients, end consumers of the vehicles have to understand that the game has changed. Currently, every car that is stepping down from the production line is having onboard diagnostic, which is online connected to the servers of the vehicle manufacturers. And in order for the aftermarket industry to offer competitive service so that the client can have a good set of options to select from for maintaining his car, also the independent aftermarket should have access to this data. And currently it is not the case. There are a lot of discussions on the European Parliament level, and I hope that together the industry will find a solution so that the independent aftermarket is put in an equal position to the authorized dealerships so that this data can be made available for them, and then adequate solutions protecting the interest of the driver can be developed. So the data is very, very difficult topic today, because we have not even solved the problems from yesterday, and today we have the next topic about the vehicle data. And I would say that currently the topic is not solved, and we are in the position of lacking data, not being in the abundance of data.
Interesting point, and a really nice. Do you feel like there's a gap between the teams in a company that develop the data capturing system and the teams that's using that data? Is there like a gap that they're maybe not talking to each other and it's just the wrong type of data being acquired?
I can reference back a little bit on our experiences. We are collecting a lot of data from the sales channels that we are operating, and we are leveraging for optimizing our stock availability, for optimizing our price positioning, and for practically offering a better service. I would not say that in the industry that we are putting the data is siloed in some way. In my humble opinion, parts distributors are leveraging the data collected quite wisely in regards to optimizing their stock and services.
Okay, so it's just a matter of, so the teams are communicating, but that's just not the issue right now. We're dealing with other issues.
Yeah, there are like barriers currently put into the industry from outside.
Okay. That's going to be a continued thing. That's never going to stop. So how do you prepare for that?
We are constantly discussing with the associations who are representing our interests on the European level. We are trying also to work closely with the vehicle manufacturers, because we are partnering on many levels, and we are trying to explain that the continuous service of the given vehicle, no matter which is the brand, over the years, it's a good thing for them too, because if you have an owner of a, let's say, 10 years old BMW, this client rarely goes to the authorized dealership. Normally they go to the aftermarket. And if they received a good service for their BMW, thanks to the access to data, parts, diagnostic equipment, etc., 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 then the chances that this person later on in his life, when he is having more possibilities to buy a newer BMW, increase. If he is not happy how this brand is being serviced in the aftermarket, I would make the claim that the chances for him to make a repetitive purchase of the same brand decrease. So
that's an interesting point, because I never would have connected those two.
The brand value continues over time, and if you look on the average car age in Europe, you would see that it is well beyond 7 years. And the part of Europe where we are operating, Central and Eastern Europe, it is much higher. We are speaking for average car age beyond 12, 15, 17 years in some markets. And the brand awareness of people now buying their first car and the experience that they're having with the brand, I bet the beer is going to influence their decision making later down the road when they have more financial power. Probably they can buy a car which is having extended warranty. And if they're happy with the experience they had with the brand, which is delivered by the independent aftermarket, so the brand manufacturer will profit from it.
So that partnership between OEM and aftermarket sounds like it's a great thing to have for the brand to have, of course, because it creates that brand loyalty, as you mentioned with the BMW example. Of course, there's a benefit to the aftermarket as being a loyal supplier and provider. Does there have to be a formal relationship, like a preferred? Will there ever be that formal relationship? Because the automotive aftermarket is never going to pull business away. Like the BMW dealership is never going to want customers to go elsewhere unless they're getting something out of it.
Finally, everybody is having his or her limitations in delivering services or products to the market, and we have to be a little bit realistic. Every dealership, every workshop, every spare parts distributor is having his or her limits in servicing. So I would make the claim that the market is big enough and more or less there is some for everyone there. Finally, I'm saying that we should not try to build silos among us, but just to really partner in favor of the driver, because finally he is the one, his or her decisions are affecting us all.
Excellent.
And the better he or she is being served, the better for us.
Excellent. I'd like to come back to the work that you've done, because in just researching your company a little bit, you guys were way ahead of the curve. You adopted digital transformation as a company culture a long time ago, and that has given you an edge when everything happened with the pandemic, with everything in Europe. What makes transformation stick? Is there a key thing that you really need to look for, or you have to understand? Do you need a sixth sense? Is it a team dynamic thing? What makes it stick?
I believe in the beginning, one should start with a good understanding what digital transformation means. And I know, at least for me, English is not my mother language, so it's not helping me, but please try to understand what is the difference between digitalization, and digital transformation.
Great point.
Starting from there, companies can ask themselves, what are we actually doing? And in my personal opinion, most of the companies are doing digitalization in the best case scenario, and they're not doing digital transformation. And in order to achieve digital transformation, you have to build this awareness, this understanding on the top level, and then enforce it down, create an environment where then the team leaders and the managers and the decision makers, the stakeholders are aware how their contribution to the company strategy, utilizing the tools of modern digital society, leveraging the digital transformation, can create value for that company. I would start definitely from there.
Okay.
And I believe we all are running our digital transformations understandingly or not understandingly. So better start understanding what you're doing. And my advice would be do more digital transformation and less digitization and less digitalization.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then going back to your question about our story, we had in one moment of the time the aha effect that if we want to really build the industry class leading e-commerce solution, then we have to have our product data cataloged and managed in such a way that it can enable the best possible search mechanisms.
Okay.
Faceted filtering, for example, in our industry, it's quite tricky to do it. In rest of the industries, it's quite classical tool of narrowing down the product listing. And then when we had this aha effect, then we said, okay, and what about exchanging the data with backend systems? And then we slowly try to put it under one big umbrella, which we are calling digital transformation. In the digital transformation, we are having our place for innovation as well. Topics like what we're here seeing on the background behind you, OCR solution, utilizing image recognition, etc., etc., etc. So this is how it started. It was not how to say some miracle.
Sure, but building that core that you've done has kind of future-proofed whatever can come next. You're kind of have the core. You're ready for whatever comes. Nothing's going to come and take your team off guard.
I would say it's not a value 1 or 0. It started in one moment of time. We were running our projects anyhow. In one moment of time, we said, okay, let's establish it as a digital transformation, which is running alongside other activities which we're performing. I can say that based on the experiences that we built over the past years, now we are much better prepared. And I claim that we have at least reached this understanding that we are trying to do digital transformation. In combination with the experiences, we are quite well prepared, and now running the next project or converting the next idea really from the vision or from this spark, let's try this, to a proof of concept, to an MVP, then implementing and rolling out, it's much easier for us. But it is a combination of experience and having a methodology, doing it once, doing it twice, doing it n time, and then repeat. For me, the digital transformation is a process. You're constantly monitoring the environment, you're getting your research, you're getting your inspiration, then some colleagues of yours are coming internally saying, hey, I have this challenge, could you please think of a modern way of solving it? And this is how it is shaping down.
Is that really the way you've structured the company, or the company has that encouraged ability to look for solution and to look for the next innovation? It's kind of embraced from all levels of the company?
It's very difficult to make it understandable from all levels and embraced. We have started really from the people that picked up the idea and really wanted to try something new, and now we are scaling it and trying to engage more and more decision makers to try something on their own. And it takes time to convince people to really have a project to showcase, to say, okay, this was our flagship, this is how we did it, this is how we executed, these are the learnings. Based on that, please try on your own.
That's fantastic, and it sounds really encouraging for all the employees to know that that's something they can have the motivation to do.
Yeah, when you have a successful example in-house, it's much easier afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely, and it just keeps the people there. They know that they can grow with the technology rather than being limited by an executive team or something that doesn't encourage it.
In my opinion, many of the employees in a given enterprise are putting some limits on themselves or on the ideas that they're generating, because they're saying, this is the situation where we are, our ERP is allowing this, our e-commerce is allowing that. The capability of trying to really innovate or leveraging the digital tools to reimagine how the given process can be performed is quite a tricky task, because it requires that somebody is there to support this person with his idea to do things differently, and then to provide the technical means. The technical means are just an instrument for the vision to be implemented.
That's a really nice way to think of it.
So yeah, this is how we are doing it, and one good example to the next, it is helping us have a bigger effect on the enterprise, and then to keep the employees motivated to contribute with ideas and be active partners of their development and implementation afterwards.
I think that's a really great learning for other companies that are going through this process, because it starts with the people you have and enabling them to contribute. And that's where a lot of the ideas come from. And then, like you said, you build the process where you go one after the other after the other.
You have the most important consultant inside of the company, your employees, right?
And you've proven that with the digital transformation journey that you're on. proactively on. You're not doing it because of the pandemic. You're doing it because it's part of who the company is. And I love that.
We really want to support our claim that we are the leader in our business, in our part of the world, not only by sales numbers, but also by technology and services that we're delivering to the market.
Yeah, that's the end result of what you've done. It's fantastic. Really, really great discussion. I've learned a lot. I really hope the audience listening can take some of these away to their teams and start forming this change. Keep that ball rolling in the right direction when it comes to digital transformation.
I do hope the same, and I hope that other colleagues from the automotive aftermarket found at least one idea and a little bit more courage to try it on their own.
That's it. The courage is all it takes. One person with the right idea and the courage to say it. Fantastic. Thank you so much for today and having this discussion. Before we bring things to a close, any final notes that you want to share?
My final note is that for the industry that we are working in, there are very interesting times ahead. And if you are really doing digital transformation, then you can really contribute to the greater being of the given company that you're working in or for the whole industry. So I am really thrilled to share this journey together with other colleagues from the industry and looking forward to what the future of automotive aftermarket brings for all of us.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I think you framed that perfectly. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
Absolutely. And to our audience watching and listening, thank you so very much for joining me on this episode. As I mentioned, a fantastic discussion and one that I think can really make dynamic change in your organizations. No matter where you are in that organization, I think a lot of this can be taken to your teams and implemented to embrace digital transformation, keep that ball rolling in the right direction, and just continue to innovate. I think that's fantastic. So hope you enjoyed the discussion. If you have any questions about what you heard today, I'll put both of our LinkedIn in the description of this video so you can reach out, ask questions, perhaps find out more about what we do. It's a great place to do it. But we really appreciate you giving us the time today. Thank you for watching. Wishing you a fantastic day no matter where in the world you may be, and we'll see you on the very next episode of the Auto Tech Show.